It's Mr. Keelan, and today, Tuesday, we're going to go over what the QFT is that we're going to be using this week to wrap up our exploration of the amendments to the Constitution. So you might be asking yourself, Keelan, what is the QFT? QFT stands for Question Formulation Technique, and this was developed by a group of educational researchers as a strategy to help anyone, not just students, but anyone develop stronger questions and higher order questions, and to encourage anybody, especially those who feel uncomfortable asking questions, to have the confidence to be able to ask many questions, to ask quality questions, to be engaged as a questioner. The more we question, the more we learn, and the better our questions, the better our learning. Makes sense, right? And their goal is not only for you to ask many questions, but for you to reflect on the questions that you have. And then looking at the questions, prioritize the ones that need to be answered first. And then work on answering those questions, the priority questions. So within class, every QFT activity would start off with a Q focus. The Q focus means question focus. Where are you focusing your questions from? What is the focus of your questioning attention? And it usually is a prompt. Tomorrow, you're going to see a quote from a speech by Franklin D. Roosevelt, and you're also going to see video of that speech, and that would be your Q focus. But Q focus could be a picture of a work of art, a photograph. It could be a phrase, a quote, passage of text. The QFT can be used in science and math. It could be an experiment or equation. What questions do you have about this? The one thing a Q focus can never be is a question, because you're supposed to be the ones asking the questions. Me or any educator doing it with you has to step back and not provide our own questions to you or example questions. That's not how it rolls. When you're engaged in a QFT, it is you who generate the questions. So once you have been introduced to the Q focus, then you're going to go to the next step, and that's the question inventory. With the question inventory, you and your team are going to make every question that you can think of in your brain in regards to the Q focus. There is no such thing as too many questions. There's no such thing as a bad questions. The more questions that you post, the better. And you'll have about a span of 10 minutes to post up as many questions as you can think of about that Q focus. In your case, a movie and a passage of the speech. So when you're doing the question inventory, there's certain rules that each of you have to adhere to in relation to the Q focus in order to get the best possible set of questions, the best inventory. These copy of rules is in your packet. It's also going to be posted with the prompt tomorrow. So 1, ask as many questions as you can. And when you're doing the question inventory, don't ask questions about the questions. Don't stop to say, oh, I know the answer to that one. Don't judge each other's questions. Don't discuss the questions. You're just writing down questions. And each question, you'll see when I'm giving my sample, I don't go back and edit while I'm making my question inventory. You want to post it down with typos, with spelling mistakes. That's okay. You can go back and edit them later. Right now, the idea is to squeeze out of your brain and the collective brains of your team as many questions as you can. If you have a statement, if you have something that you want to say in regards to the QFT, once again, you have to try to change any statements into questions. And those questions are going to be posted onto the Google Stream, which we'll talk about tomorrow. Now let's watch an example of Mr. Keelan working on a QFT. So my example QFT is here. I have my Q focus. So just like you're going to do tomorrow, I'm going to click on the Q focus and look at it. In this case, it's a quote. Yours tomorrow is going to be a passage of a document and a video of the speech giving that document. So the quote here is, "I do not agree with what you have to say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it." And that is by Voltaire. So what I would start doing now for the question inventory is I would start posting as many questions that I can think of. So, for example, who is Voltaire? Notice I'm not even stopping to fix my capitalization mistake. Where is Voltaire from? I'm going to click on the last comment so I can just see my inventory build as I'm going. I'm going to look back at my thing. I don't agree with what you have to say about defend your death. The death your right to say it. Why would he want to die for something he disagreed So I've made an inventory here of questions. Hopefully your inventory will have a lot more questions since you're going to be having a lot more team members. Also, yours Q focus is going to be a bit longer than just one quote. So you have a bit more to work off of. I'm going to give you in all about 10 minutes to work off of it. Once the 10 minutes is up and you have made as many questions as you can in your inventory, now it's time to improve your questions. And you and your team are going to work to analyze the question inventory. You have to mark which questions are open, which questions are closed. You're going to have to get rid of the that's written inside of your notes that you're making your movie on. And you're going to have to analyze them. Yesterday, I had you for the do now. Talk about what are open questions and closed questions to refresh your mind. So as you're looking at the questions, you're going to go back in categories. Now you'll be able to edit your own questions and go back now and mark a C or an O next to them. If you want to suggest a closed or open question to one of your teammates, you can hit it as a reply to their post. Any statements that were accidentally going to work to analyze the question inventory. You have to mark which questions are open, which questions are closed. You're going to have to get rid of the that's written inside of your notes that you're making your movie on. And you're going to have to analyze them. Yesterday, I had you for the do now. Talk about what are open questions and closed questions to refresh your mind. So as you're looking at the questions, you're going to go back in categories. Now you'll be able to edit your own questions and go back now and mark a C or an O next to them. If you want to suggest a closed or open question to one of your teammates, you can hit it as a reply to their post. Any statements that were accidentally put up also need to be made into questions. Again, you're going to have about 10 minutes plus to work on getting the question inventory sharpened. See if there's any questions that can be combined. That's one of the things when I was working, I noticed that when one of my questions was closed, in order to make it open, I actually combined it with a different one. And once that's all set, then you're going to select a priority question. Your priority question has to be from your revised inventory. And has to be the one that you think is the most important to you, not to anybody else, The rest of your teammates can want to answer question A, and you want to answer question F. That's your priority. You will choose your own priority question. It's important that you pick out the question that you think is the most important, not the one that the team thinks is the most important. In fact, the team can add, if there's 5 people on your team, the 5 of you could have 5 different questions. That's okay. You can have the same question as a teammate. That's okay too. If both of you thought that question was important, fabulous. That's groovy. Cool. But you don't have to. And your priority question necessarily doesn't have to be one that you asked when you're making the inventory. You could say, you know what? Joe Bob Henry's question was really sharp. I really think that's an important question to ask. And I want to learn more about that. It doesn't have to be one that you posted. You can select any of the questions. Once you select your priority question, you're going to post up your question to me so I can see that you picked one out.